And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey, this is the third video of my reviews of the expansions for Zooloretto. Now, I looked at the big ones in the last two videos, XXL and Exotic Animals. In this one, I'm going to take a look at all the mini small expansions. Some of these expansions were available as promos, although you can get them online, like the Polar Bear and Gorilla were promos, but you can get both of them through Cool Stuff. They sold some of them as a sheet of expansions that you could get, expansion 1, expansion 2. I'm not really sure the best way to get all these mini expansions now. You could try to hunt them down, but I'm just going to go over all these different little mini expansions, and you can see which ones you'd like to add. Let's talk about the building site expansions. There are 9 of these tiles, 1 to 3 different types in the game. You mix these in the bag like the other tiles, and when these come up, instead of placing them in your own zoo, you place them in the zoo of someone else. You place them either in an enclosure or on where a vending stall is, and those two are annoying because they count as empty spaces at the end of the game. Your opponent can't put anything in those spaces. You can put them in the barn, and that counts as an extra spot in the barn that they have. Now, players cannot remodel these. However, for 1 coin, you can take 2 of these and stick them in someone else's zoo, thus perpetuating this random take that thing. I don't know. This seems like they added a take that element to Zooloretto just because. I don't like these, and I will probably never use them. In case you were somebody who liked to put pandas in your zoo because you liked pandas for no other reason, the job boards will fix that for you. At the beginning of the game, you're going to randomly get one of these if you use this expansion, and you keep it secret. At the end of the game, every full enclosure you have, let's say I take this one, of camels gives me an extra 3 points. Every full enclosure of elephants gives me 2 extra points, and I don't lose points for having chimpanzees in my barn. Not a huge deal, not really a deal at all. I mean, I guess this is kind of to give you some kind of focus for how you're going to play the game, but just let people collect the animals they want. Why tell them what kind of animals to collect? It's important to save money, so we have the Savings Book expansion. On your turn, you can take one of your coins and deposit it into your savings book. Yes, you've now deposited a coin. At the end of every round, you will move your coin 1 space, 1 space, 1 space. When it comes off, you now have 2 coins. Talk about much ado about nothing. It's okay. I don't mind it. And when I play with the savings books, I will save some money. And I say, hey kids, this is what happens when you save money. But it's just not that interesting of a game mechanic. Here's a very specific type of enclosures. You put 3 of these in the middle of the table. You can buy these for 2 coins each, which I guess the savings would have helped me with. But you know, this one can only hold flamingos, this one can only hold zebras, this one can only hold elephants. But if you fill them up, they're worth 3 points, which is a pretty good return. So I actually don't mind playing with these. I think they're interesting enough that they certainly don't hurt the game at all. You put them out there, and if you get extra money and have a couple extra flamingos, elephants, or zebras, then this is a great way to use them. The first person in each game to finish all 6 of these can use one of the promo tiles. Now, these are the 2 that I have, the Polar Bear and the Gorilla. And you can pick either one if you're playing with both of them. And when you take, then the second person will take the second one. And what you do is you put them down there underneath. You can see, ooh, a Polar Bear exhibit. The Polar Bear, if you take him at the end of the game, all your tiles inside your barn only lose you half points rather than whole points. And if you take the Gorilla, once per game, when you draw a tile from the bag, you can put that tile anywhere. Then you put a coin on this just to show that you've used it. I think the Polar Bear is fine, but that Gorilla is awesome, because if you have, you know, 3 camels here, and I draw a 4th camel, you better believe I don't want to put it out on the thing. I just want to stick it right at my zoo. That is a fantastic thing. I really like this one a lot. And speaking of additions to the zoo, here we have the petting zoo. Each player can start with these at the beginning of the game, and when you produce offspring, you can take that offspring, and instead of putting it with its parents, you can immediately place it down here in this barn. You have a room for up to 2 of these, and when you put the first one there, you get 2 coins, and the second one, you'll get a coin. And this is a way to get more money, and it's also very thematic. Every time I play with this, people get a kick There's just something about having your own little petting zoo, having your baby pandas, any baby animal, even the most disgusting animal, babies of it are cute, and people like this idea a lot. I've seen it go over well. In fact, I almost always play this in all my games. My favorite of the small expansions are the 3 additional buildings, a restaurant, a souvenir shop, and some pavilions. Now, these are things that you can buy with. The pavilions cost 3 coins. These are the only 4 buildings. You just simply buy them. You would probably never want to buy a pavilion, but you never know. When you buy a pavilion, it simply takes up a spot in your area. So, you know, when you have to fill this, you get 10 points. Now I only need 5 instead of 6. Or if I want to get the 6 points here, I only need 4 instead of 5. You know, etc., etc. So there's putting a pavilion there can really save your skin. Yes, they're expensive at 3 coins, but that's neat. Up here we have the double space, and this is where if you want to spend 3 coins, you can put the restaurant. And what the restaurant does at the end of the game, you will score every vending stall, period, doesn't matter what type it is, gets you 2 points, and the restaurant also gives you 2 points. And also it looks really cool. And then finally, the first person to get an offspring of an animal, the first person to produce any offspring of an animal will get the souvenir shop. The souvenir shop you put in one of the spots on your board, and whenever you do that, you will get 1 point for every offspring tile in your whole zoo. So, what you can try to do is you can try to get a lot of offspring this way to give you some extra points. I like these. They give you ways, other alternative ways. I almost always use those 3 buildings, plus the petting zoo, plus the polar bear and the gorilla, and the 3 extra buildings, and that gives a whole bunch of small extra little buildings that people can go for, but doesn't really change the game dramatically. So there you have it, all these different mini expansions. Is it worth hunting them down? Like I said, you can get a couple are available on Cool Stuff, maybe finding them in different spots, but I like them better than the big expansions, interestingly enough. I like the fact I can mix and match. I can say, here's the thing, teach the rule in about 3 seconds, and it's easy to set up and play, and I can mix and match them, and it adds spice and variety to Zooloretto, and I almost wish all their expansions had been like that for Zooloretto. 10 different modules in 1 box. That's what they should have done. As it is, should you hunt these down to add them to your Zooloretto experience? That's up to you. Hopefully this video helped you make those decisions. Anyway, got to get back to running my zoo.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool Stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!